What if stepping through an alien gate wasn't just exploration, but revolution? When Captain Elias Kane enters the sacred realm, he doesn't just face danger. He challenges the very cosmic order that says humans shouldn't dare. This isn't about finding ruins. It's about humanity refusing to kneel. Elias stands before the alien structure, this massive stone archway humming with energy. It separates two different realities, the familiar space behind him and the unknown stretching forward. His hand touches the cold surface, feeling vibrations that speak of ancient power. This gate isn't just a physical barrier. It's a statement written in stone and energy about who belongs where in this universe. Throughout human stories, thresholds always represent transformation. Think about fairy tales where crossing a bridge changes everything, or science fiction where stepping through a stargate alters destiny. These boundaries symbolize the moment before change becomes inevitable. The gate Elias faces operates on that same principle but with cosmic stakes. It's designed to tell entire species they don't belong here, that some knowledge isn't meant for them. What makes this moment revolutionary isn't the technology or the danger. It's the psychological shift when Elias decides the rules don't apply to humanity. Civilizations across history have marked certain spaces as forbidden, sometimes for protection, sometimes for control. Temples restricted to priests, lands declared holy, knowledge reserved for elites. These boundaries create power structures by limiting access. The alien gate follows that pattern, but on an interstellar scale. When his boot crosses that energy threshold, it creates a ripple effect across cosmic politics. This isn't just one human entering a restricted zone. It's a challenge to the entire concept of forbidden knowledge. Who gets to decide what places are off limits? What authority declares entire species unworthy of certain experiences? Elias's step answers those questions through action rather than debate. His movement through the gate rewrites humanity's relationship with the broader universe. Before this moment, humans were observers, students of cosmic wonders. Now they become participants who question the rules. That first step transforms Elias from explorer to revolutionary, because he refuses to accept that some doors must remain closed to his kind. The energy barrier doesn't burn him. It recognizes his defiance as a new form of legitimacy. This physical action carries symbolic weight that echoes through time. Throughout mythology, heroes cross thresholds into underworlds or sacred spaces, often changing both themselves and their worlds in the process. Elias follows that pattern, but with a modern twist. His rebellion isn't against gods or monsters, but against an entire system of cosmic segregation. The gate's guardians might see violation, but history might record this as emancipation. The resolution of this moment isn't in any battle or negotiation. It's in the simple, undeniable fact that a human now stands where humans were never meant to be. That presence alone declares war on the idea that some realms remain forever beyond human reach. The energy field shimmers behind him, sealing his commitment to this new path. His continued breathing in that sacred air becomes an ongoing revolution. But this violation prompts a larger question. Why would human presence specifically trigger such dramatic consequences? What is it about our species that makes our curiosity so threatening to those who control these ancient spaces? The answer lies in what happens next, when the mistress of this domain confronts the intruder who dared challenge her authority. Consider someone who has ruled for millennia, who considers an entire star system their personal property. The mistress appears not as a monster, but as absolute authority given form. She doesn't threaten Elias with weapons first. She leads with ownership claims. Her voice echoes with the certainty of someone who has never been questioned. This being controls reality within her domain, reshaping matter and energy to her will. Her reaction to a single human seems disproportionate until you understand what human curiosity represents. She doesn't fear Elias himself, she fears what he symbolizes. Humans don't just observe. They question. They experiment. They transform everything they touch. For a being whose power relies on fixed systems and unchanging rules, that adaptability becomes terrifying. Her threat isn't about protecting sacred ground, it's about protecting a cosmic status quo. Throughout history, rulers have used sacred claims to maintain control. Divine right, chosen people narratives, exclusive access to holy sites. These patterns repeat across civilizations. The mistress follows the same playbook but on an interstellar scale. By declaring her domain sacred, she justifies eternal ownership and excludes others from challenging her authority. It's control dressed up as cosmic law. What's revealing isn't her power display but her emotional response. True security doesn't need to announce itself constantly. Her immediate escalation to threat suggests underlying anxiety about her position. She represents stagnation, a system that cannot evolve because it believes it has achieved perfection. Humanity represents the opposite force: constant change, adaptation, and reinvention. The tension here mirrors encounters between established powers and emerging challengers throughout history. Established orders often respond to new ideas with suppression rather than engagement. They fear not the current challenge but the precedent it sets. If one human can enter her domain today, what prevents others from doing so tomorrow? What prevents them from asking why certain knowledge remains restricted? Her declaration exposes the fragility of cosmic hierarchy. Systems based on control rather than consent remain vulnerable to those who refuse to comply. The mistress's need to maintain hierarchy outweighs even practical considerations. She would rather destroy a potential ally than tolerate a challenge to her authority structure. Human curiosity becomes the ultimate violation because it cannot be controlled or predicted. You can defend against weapons or armies, but how do you defend against questions? How do you prevent a species from wondering why certain doors remain locked? The mistress's reaction confirms that human presence threatens the very foundation of her power, the unquestioning acceptance of her authority. This confrontation reveals that cosmic claims of ownership often mask deeper insecurities. Beings who are truly secure in their power don't need to constantly assert their dominance. They don't fear questions or new perspectives. The mistress's need to dominate exposes her system's weakness. It cannot tolerate alternatives. The resolution emerges not through force, but through the simple act of asking why. Human curiosity challenges the premise that some spaces must remain forever off limits. It questions who benefits from these restrictions and who loses access to knowledge and opportunity. The mistress's violent response only highlights how much she has to lose if others start asking the same questions. Now Elias stands before this cosmic authority, having heard her claims of absolute ownership. He has seen her power and understood her fears. His response will determine whether humanity accepts these ancient limitations or writes new rules for cosmic engagement. Elias stands before cosmic power that could erase him with a thought. His spine remains straight while energies crackle around him. This isn't defiance for show. It's a statement written in muscle and bone. His posture says what words cannot. Some lines cannot be crossed, even by gods. Physical stance communicates power before speech begins. Studies show upright posture affects both how others perceive us and how we perceive ourselves. Elias's refusal to bow shifts the psychological dynamic instantly. He transforms from supplicant to equal through body language alone. Historical figures have used similar nonverbal defiance, standing when told to kneel, looking authority in the eye when instructed to lower their gaze. This moment captures humanity's collective resistance to imposed limitations. Throughout our history, progress happened when someone refused to accept this far and no further. Elias embodies that tradition on a cosmic scale. His straight back represents the unbending will that built civilizations and reached for stars. The mistress expects obedience to ancient hierarchies, but humanity has always questioned why hierarchies must remain unchanged. The tension here isn't between strength and weakness, but between two conflicting worldviews. One believes in fixed cosmic orders where beings have predetermined places. The other believes in constant evolution where status must be earned rather than inherited. Elias's posture articulates this second philosophy through physical presence. He doesn't claim superiority. He claims the right to exist as an equal participant in cosmic affairs. His words, when they come, formalize what his body already declared. He rejects the premise that some beings have inherent rights to dominion, while others must accept subjugation. This challenges the mistress's entire framework of power. She represents systems that maintain control through tradition and fear. Elias represents systems that evolve through questioning and participation. The resolution emerges through this quiet confrontation. Elias doesn't win through weapons or clever tactics. He wins by refusing to accept the role assigned to him. His transformation from intruder to challenger happens through sheer consistency of will. The mistress's power cannot compel obedience if the subject refuses to recognize its legitimacy. This symbolic resistance echoes beyond the immediate confrontation. Throughout human history, change often began with individuals who refused to play by established rules. Their power came not from force but from questioning why those rules existed. Elias follows that pattern, using presence as protest and posture as argument. The mistress's domain operates on assumption of compliance. Her power relies on others accepting their designated places in the cosmic order. Elias's simple act of standing straight undermines that foundation. If one being can refuse to bow, others might follow. If others follow, the entire system of control collapses. This moment becomes symbolic of humanity's potential role in cosmic society, not as masters or servants, but as participants who question, adapt, and improve. Our species' greatest strength has always been reinvention, taking established systems and asking how they might work better. Elias embodies that potential standing before ancient power. His transformation completes when the mistress must engage him as a legitimate counterpart rather than a violating insect. She must answer his questions rather than simply commanding his obedience. This shift in dynamic represents the most fundamental challenge to her authority. But the ground beneath them holds secrets that explain why this confrontation matters. The mistress didn't declare this territory sacred just to exercise power. She protects something tangible beneath the soil, something that explains her violent reaction to trespassers. The mistress gestures across the valley, and the truth unfolds. Those blue flames aren't decorations, they're memories given light. Each pulse represents a civilization that once stood here, each flicker a story that ended. The ground itself holds impressions of empires that rose and fell before humanity built its first cities. This isn't sacred ground because some being declared it so. It's sacred because it remembers everything. Those stones that seem to breathe, they actually do. The entire valley operates as a living archive, with mineral structures that store historical data in crystalline patterns. When the blue energy flows through them, they release that information as light and vibration. It's like a library where the books read themselves aloud to anyone who knows how to listen. The mistress didn't create this system. She merely became its guardian after the last civilization fell. Archaeological principles apply even here. On Earth, ancient sites preserve cultural memory through artifacts and structures. This valley does the same thing, but through technology we can barely comprehend. The ruins function as both museum and memorial, maintaining records of species that mastered incredible power but failed the ultimate test. Their stories aren't just history lessons, they're warnings written in stone and light. The tension here shifts from simple trespass to understanding consequence. Elias isn't just violating territory, he's walking through a graveyard of cosmic-scale failures. Each blue flame represents a civilization that reached incredible technological heights, but collapsed under the weight of its own power. The mistress protects this place not to hoard knowledge, but to prevent another disaster. Her harsh methods stem from witnessing what happens when unprepared beings access forces they can't control. The breathing stones suggest consciousness beyond organic life. They don't just store data, they process it, maintaining patterns that resemble thought. This isn't artificial intelligence as we understand it. It's more like environmental consciousness where the valley itself remains aware of its history and purpose. The stones judge visitors not by laws, but by measuring their compatibility with the knowledge stored within them. This place serves as a continuous warning about power and responsibility. The ruins demonstrate that technological advancement alone doesn't guarantee survival. Civilization after civilization reached for cosmic power, without developing the wisdom to wield it. Their failures are preserved here as objective lessons rather than moral tales. The valley doesn't care about good intentions. It cares about results and consequences. The resolution comes when the mistress reveals what lies beneath the soil. A weapon sleeps under the valley, not built for conquest but for enforcement. It destroyed the very civilizations that created it when they proved unworthy of their own technology. This device represents the ultimate paradox, power so great that it eliminates those who cannot handle it responsibly. The mistress guards this weapon not to use it but to prevent others from awakening it prematurely. Her protective rage makes sense now. She isn't defending property, she's preventing apocalyptic mistakes. The sacred laws she enforces weren't written by her, but discovered through tragic experience. This changes the conflict from rebellion against authority to a test of readiness. Elias must prove he represents something different from all the other species that failed here. So what exactly is this ancient machine that judges civilizations worthy or unworthy? It's not a simple weapon. It's a testing mechanism designed by long-vanished architects who understood that power must be earned rather than taken. Its awakening protocol requires specific conditions that have nothing to do with strength or technology, and everything to do with character and vision. The ground splits open not with violence but with purpose. Stone plates slide aside like pages of an ancient book opening to a predetermined chapter. The machine rises silently, its surface covered in symbols that predate language itself. These aren't carved markings, they're energy patterns that shift and reform like living equations. This device doesn't belong to the Mistress or any current cosmic order. It operates on principles established before stars had names. Its awakening after millennia of silence sends a clear message. The machine recognizes that the current guardianship has reached its limits. Systems often outgrow their caretakers. Think of how constitutions written centuries ago must adapt to modern realities. The Mistress represents preservation, but the machine seeks evolution. It activates not because Elias is physically strong or technologically advanced, but because he represents change in a stagnant system. The tension here shifts from personal conflict to cosmic evaluation. The machine doesn't care about local politics or territorial disputes. It serves a function that transcends temporary rulers and passing empires. Its judgment operates on scales where individual species matter less than universal balance. The Mistress's authority suddenly looks small compared to this ancient arbitration system. Those primordial symbols tell a story about universal constants. They represent concepts so fundamental that language evolved from them rather than inventing them. Truth, balance, responsibility. These ideas exist as mathematical certainties in the machine's operation. It doesn't interpret laws, it embodies them as physical principles. This makes its judgment impartial in ways biological beings can never achieve. Historical patterns show how systems eventually reject stagnant guardianship. Throughout civilizations, institutions created to serve progress often become obstacles to it. The machine represents a built-in correction mechanism for this exact problem. It waits until current management fails its purpose, then seeks better alternatives. Its activation now suggests the Mistress's protective approach has become counterproductive. The device contains knowledge from before current cosmic orders because it designed those orders. It's not merely a recorder of history. It's an active participant in shaping universal development. The machine understands that growth requires periodic reassessment of who guards what knowledge. Its emergence indicates that humanity's arrival represents not a threat, but an opportunity for necessary change. The resolution becomes clear when the machine ignores the Mistress completely. It focuses on Elias not as an intruder but as a candidate. This ancient system seeks evolution rather than punishment. It recognizes that humanity's unpredictable nature might be exactly what the cosmic balance requires after eons of rigid control. The machine chooses testing over destruction because its purpose is advancement, not preservation. This moment reveals why ancient powers might favor newcomers over established guardians. Systems that last millions of years understand that freshness prevents stagnation. They value the perspective that comes from outside established patterns. Humanity's relative youth becomes an asset, rather than a weakness when facing a system that has seen countless civilizations rise and fall. The machine's activation signals dissatisfaction with the current universal balance. It seeks not just a new guardian but a new approach to guardianship. The Mistress protected knowledge by hiding it. The machine might prefer someone who will share knowledge responsibly. This shift in philosophy explains why it awakens now, for this particular human. So what test could possibly determine whether a species deserves access to universe-shaping power? The machine won't measure physical strength or technological achievement. Those qualities have doomed previous civilizations. It will test something deeper, the qualities that prevent power from corrupting those who wield it. The evaluation begins not with challenges but with understanding what makes humanity different from all the species that failed before. Blue fire encircles both figures, creating a perfect ring of flickering energy. The flames don't burn the ground or release heat. Instead, they generate a field of pure assessment. This circle eliminates all advantages: technology, physical strength, even cosmic power. The Mistress and Elias now stand as equals before an ancient testing mechanism. The playing field levels completely. Fire serves as the perfect medium for this evaluation. Across human history, flames purified, transformed, and revealed truth. Ancient rituals used fire to test metal quality, religious ceremonies employed it for spiritual cleansing, and modern science harnesses it for precise measurement. The living flames here operate on similar principles but with cosmic precision. They don't test what someone can do, they test who someone is. The tension shifts from confrontation to revelation. Both participants face the same conditions inside the circle. The flames respond to internal qualities rather than external power. This creates fascinating equality. A being who has lived millennia and a human who has lived decades stand judged by the same standards. Time and experience matter less than fundamental character. These flames possess awareness beyond simple energy. They react to thoughts and intentions, flickering in response to hidden motives. The fire doesn't just assess, it communicates through its movements. Faster flickering might indicate deception. Steady burning could signal alignment with truth. This living quality makes the evaluation dynamic rather than predetermined. The testing method ensures only worthy custodians proceed. Previous civilizations failed because they possessed power without wisdom. The circle of fire prevents that mistake by evaluating the soul's compatibility with responsibility. It measures qualities like humility, curiosity, and respect for knowledge. These intangible factors determine success where technology and strength failed others. This approach makes perfect sense for cosmic arbitration. Weapons test compatibility, technology tests innovation, but neither measures whether someone will use power responsibly. The fire assesses the gap between capability and wisdom. It seeks those who understand that true power requires restraint and perspective. The circle's design creates forced equality. Inside the flaming ring, the mistress cannot access her cosmic abilities. Elias cannot rely on human technology. Both must stand bare before the assessment. This prevents either from overpowering the evaluation process. The system ensures the result reflects true worth rather than temporary advantages. Resolution comes through silent judgment. The flames don't announce winners or losers. They simply respond to the souls within the circle. The fire judges based on compatibility with the valley's purpose. Not who is stronger, but who better serves the balance of knowledge and responsibility. This shifts the entire conflict from might makes right to character determines legitimacy. The living flames represent the machine's consciousness engaging directly with candidates. They don't just measure, they teach through the process. Each flicker conveys understanding about the responsibilities involved in wielding cosmic power. The evaluation becomes education about why previous civilizations failed and what the universe requires now. The circle completes its work when the flames begin showing visions to both participants. These aren't random images. They're targeted revelations designed to test reactions to specific scenarios. The fire uses personal history and cultural context to create meaningful assessments. It understands that true character reveals itself through response to meaningful stimuli. What visions would an ancient testing system show a human? Not threats or temptations, but reflections of home and heritage. The flames understand that humanity's strength lies in connection rather than conquest. They show Elias memories of Earth not as distraction, but as core assessment, testing whether he represents humanity's best qualities or its worst impulses. The flames show Elias not threats or temptations, but Earth. His childhood home materializes in the fire, complete with the tree he climbed and the street where he learned to ride a bicycle. The images feel more real than memory, as if the fire somehow accessed the emotional weight behind each scene. This isn't distraction, it's the most precise test imaginable. Psychological resilience often roots itself in personal history. When facing extreme stress, people draw strength from core identity and meaningful connections. The flames understand this principle operates on species-level scale too. They show Elias humanity's collective experience, not just his personal memories, but glimpses of human history. Ancient builders raising stone circles, scientists peering through first telescopes, artists capturing beauty in unpredictable ways. These visions serve as character assessment through nostalgia. The fire measures how Elias responds to seeing home while standing in alien flames. Does he cling to Earth as escape? Does he reject it as distraction? Or does he integrate these memories into his current situation? His reaction reveals whether he represents humanity's best qualities or its weaknesses. The tension here works on multiple levels. Elias must process intense personal memories while maintaining focus on the cosmic test. He sees his daughter's birth, his mentor's wisdom, humanity's greatest achievements and kindest moments. The fire uses these positive images precisely because they carry emotional weight. It's testing whether connection makes him stronger or more vulnerable. What's fascinating is how the flames use collective human experience. They show not just Elias's life but moments from human history he never witnessed. A medic saving lives during war, a teacher inspiring students, engineers solving impossible problems. These represent humanity's shared identity, the patterns that make our species unique. The fire assesses whether Elias embodies these patterns. The resolution comes through integration rather than choice. Elias doesn't abandon the test to live in memories. He doesn't reject his humanity to focus solely on the present challenge. He allows the visions to strengthen his resolve by reminding him what he represents. This balanced response shows maturity beyond mere survival instinct. Seeing Earth reinforces his protective instincts but expands their scope. He realizes he fights not just for humanity's survival, but for its right to participate in cosmic affairs. The visions transform his motivation from personal success to species representation. This shifts his perspective from, "Can I survive this?" to, "What does this mean for everyone back home?" The fire uses nostalgia as precision tool rather than blunt instrument. It doesn't overwhelm with emotion. It carefully selects memories that test specific qualities. A moment of personal failure checks his humility. A memory of triumph tests his pride management. Every image serves assessment purposes while simultaneously strengthening his connection to humanity's core values. This approach makes perfect sense for testing cosmic custodians. Previous civilizations failed because they lost connection to what mattered beyond power. They became so focused on control that they forgot why control mattered. The fire ensures Elias remembers that power serves life rather than replaces it. Elias emerges from the visions changed but centered. The experience doesn't weaken his resolve, it grounds him in deeper purpose. He understands now that this test isn't about individual worth but about whether humanity deserves a seat at the cosmic table. His personal journey merges with species destiny. Why would ancient fire choose memories over threats? Because true character reveals itself through how we handle what we love, not just what we fear. The mistress faces her own visions of eternal rule and unquestioned authority. Her reactions will differ because her values stem from different sources. The contrast between their responses will determine everything. Imagine a testing system that values questions over obedience. The living flames measure both candidates under identical conditions, yet they respond differently to each. The mistress projects control and certainty, her energy signature radiating unwavering authority. Elias emits something else entirely, curiosity mixed with determination, a willingness to challenge rather than comply. The fire recognizes this difference not as rebellion, but as necessary evolution. Systems throughout history eventually favor innovation over tradition. Consider how scientific revolutions overthrow established paradigms when new evidence emerges. The machine operates on similar principles but across cosmic timescales. It understands that eternal stability requires periodic renewal. Defiance represents the system's self-correction mechanism, the willingness to question what others accept as permanent truth. The mistress's domination approach fails because it represents static control. She seeks to preserve the valley exactly as she found it, preventing all change as protection. But the machine recognizes that absolute preservation equals stagnation. Her fear-based management style worked for maintaining security, but fails when the system requires growth. The flames respond to her energy with diminishing intensity, recognizing she offers no new solutions. Elias's resilience comes from adaptive thinking. He doesn't reject the valley's importance, he questions how it should function. His defiance isn't destruction but reimagining. The fire brightens when processing his energy signature, responding to his creative approach to responsibility. He represents the balance between respect for knowledge and willingness to improve its application. This choice reveals what ancient powers truly value, not submission, but worthy engagement. The machine doesn't want guardians who follow instructions. It seeks partners who understand principles. Defiance demonstrates deeper understanding than obedience, because it requires comprehending why rules exist before questioning them. Elias's challenges show he has thought through the consequences of his actions. The selection criteria reshape our understanding of cosmic values. Power doesn't gravitate toward strength or longevity. It flows toward responsible creativity. The fire seeks those who will use knowledge to build rather than merely control. This explains why previous civilizations failed. They mastered technology without developing the wisdom to evolve its application. Resolution comes when the machine makes its declaration. The realm belongs to defiance rather than fear. This doesn't mean chaos triumphs over order. It means dynamic balance replaces rigid control. The valley needs someone who will protect its knowledge while finding new ways to apply its lessons. Preservation alone cannot prevent repeated failures. The transition happens through energy transfer. The flames that tested both candidates now flow toward Elias, not as submission but as acknowledgement. They carry the machine's decision through light patterns that both beings can understand. The mistress recognizes she has been measured against something beyond her understanding and found incomplete. This moment challenges common assumptions about power dynamics. We often imagine ancient systems valuing tradition above all else, but truly enduring systems understand that tradition must serve progress rather than hinder it. The machine's choice demonstrates sophisticated long-term thinking that transcends temporary rulers and local customs. The existing power structure cannot remain unchanged after this decision. The mistress's authority derived from controlling access to knowledge. If the machine grants that access to someone who challenges control itself, the entire foundation of her rule collapses. Her soldiers witness this transfer of legitimacy, their allegiance already shifting toward the new paradigm. How does cosmic authority react when its own systems choose change over continuity? The mistress must confront the painful truth that her protective approach has become obsolete. She guarded the valley against threats but failed to recognize when protection became imprisonment. The machine's selection criteria have evolved beyond her understanding. Blue energy coalesces around Elias, forming wings that shimmer with contained power. This transformation represents more than receiving new abilities. It signifies humanity reaching a new evolutionary stage. The wings don't resemble bird or insect structures, but rather concepts given form. They pulse with patterns that mimic thought processes, suggesting this power adapts to its wielder's nature, rather than imposing preset limitations. Mythology constantly shows transformation as reward for worthy heroes. Think of Icarus gaining wings through artificial means and failing versus heroes like Pegasus emerging from divine favor. Elias's transformation follows the second pattern, earned through character rather than stolen through ambition. The energy wings symbolize that humanity has passed some fundamental test of cosmic worthiness. They represent not just flight but ascension to new levels of responsibility. The physical change mirrors internal development that already occurred. Elias's refusal to bow demonstrated spiritual strength that now manifests visibly. This externalization makes sense for cosmic communication. Beings across star systems need to recognize the change in humanity's status. The wings serve as both tool and symbol, providing practical abilities while announcing a new cosmological reality. What makes this transformation significant is the energy's nature. It doesn't override Elias's humanity but integrates with it. He remains completely human while gaining compatibility with ancient forces. This suggests that human qualities, curiosity, adaptability, moral courage, align with cosmic requirements better than the mistress's eternal but rigid power structure. The energy chose him because his nature matches its purpose. The resolution rewrites cosmic power distribution rules. Godlike ability no longer belongs only to ancient beings or naturally powerful species. It becomes available to those who demonstrate the right relationship with responsibility. Elias's journey proves that worth isn't measured in years or strength, but in how one handles the privilege of knowledge. His defiance wasn't rejection of order, but demand for better order. This metamorphosis represents humanity's potential realized. We often imagine ascending through technology or biological enhancement. This transformation suggests our greatest evolutionary leap might be spiritual maturity made visible. The wings don't make Elias superhuman. They make his humanity superbly compatible with cosmic-scale challenges. The energy formation operates on principles we might never fully understand. It responds to intent rather than command, flows toward need rather than whim. This indicates the power itself possesses intelligence that chose Elias specifically. His human perspective combined with this ancient energy creates something new in the universe, a bridge between eternal wisdom and mortal innovation. Elias becomes both familiar and unprecedented. He still thinks like a human, reasons like a human, cares about human things. Yet now he interfaces with forces that shaped galaxies. This duality might be exactly what the cosmos required, someone who understands mortality while wielding immortality's tools. His very human doubts and hopes become assets rather than weaknesses. The transition happens smoothly from internal change to external manifestation. The wings don't erupt painfully but unfold naturally, as if they were always potential within him. This suggests the transformation recognizes what already existed, rather than adding foreign elements. The machine didn't make him worthy. It revealed he was already worthy. Now the Mistress faces not just a human challenger, but a transformed being who represents a new cosmic paradigm. Her empire built on control and exclusion cannot stand against someone who embodies integration and earned authority. The soldiers who followed her out of duty now witness a different kind of power, one that elevates rather than dominates. What happens when an eternal ruler confronts evidence that her entire governing philosophy has been judged obsolete? The Mistress must either adapt to this new reality or watch her empire crumble around her. Her next actions will determine whether she becomes part of the new order or remains tethered to a fading past. The Mistress stands before a human who should be insignificant to her eternal existence. Yet her voice carries unfamiliar tension when she declares, "I am eternal." These words don't convey confidence. They reveal deep insecurity. She's confronting something her endless life never prepared her for. A challenge to her fundamental authority from someone who by all cosmic standards shouldn't possess that capability. Absolute power often masks profound vulnerability. Think of how dictators throughout history built massive security apparatuses not because they felt secure, but because they feared losing control. The Mistress operates on similar principles but across galactic scales. Her claims of eternity contradict her visible fear, because true security doesn't need constant assertion. Her reaction shows that permanent power is ultimately an illusion maintained through others' compliance. Psychological patterns emerge when we examine her behavior. Authority figures frequently use displays of dominance to conceal underlying fragility. The Mistress's initial rage and threats served that exact purpose, attempting to overwhelm Elias with projected strength rather than engaging with his challenge. When that failed, her fearful reaction exposed the weakness beneath the performance. Her empire rested not on inherent right, but on everyone accepting her narrative. This moment demonstrates how systems based on control eventually crumble. The Mistress represents stagnation because she cannot evolve beyond her established patterns. She clings to methods that worked for millennia, but now face something new. Her declaration of eternity sounds increasingly desperate as she witnesses the ancient machine choosing change over continuity. The very foundation of her rule, that some beings naturally deserve dominion, collapses under this cosmic reassessment. Her fear isn't just about losing territory, it's about identity collapse. If she isn't the eternal mistress of this domain, who is she? This existential crisis explains her desperate attempts to maintain control, even as events spiral beyond her command. She threatens that the galaxy will burn if she falls because her entire sense of self depends on maintaining this power structure. Without it, she faces the terrifying prospect of redefining her purpose after eons of certainty. The resolution becomes inevitable once we understand this dynamic. Empires that resist evolution cannot withstand challenges from adaptive systems. The Mistress's domain crumbles not because Elias is stronger, but because her model of control cannot accommodate change. She built walls when she needed bridges, created subjects when she needed partners, and demanded obedience when she required innovation. The ancient machine recognizes this failure and chooses accordingly. What's fascinating is how universal this pattern feels despite the cosmic setting. We see similar dynamics in businesses that fail to adapt to new markets, governments that collapse when they cannot reform, and even personal relationships that break when one partner refuses growth. The scale changes, but the principle remains. Systems that cannot evolve will eventually break against those that can. Now the soldiers who followed the Mistress witness this vulnerability exposed. They see their eternal ruler revealed as fragile and fearful. Their allegiance was built on her projected invincibility, but that foundation now cracks under the weight of reality. How do elite warriors respond when the power they served proves less absolute than promised? Their reaction will determine whether this transition happens peacefully or violently, and whether the Mistress's empire ends with acceptance or destruction. The soldiers stand frozen, their glowing spears angled toward the ground. Moments ago, they were ready to eliminate the human intruder on command. Now they witness their eternal mistress humbled by both the ancient machine and this transformed being. Their loyalty, built on generations of service to unchanging power, suddenly faces a new reality. The foundation of their allegiance cracks under the weight of what they've seen. Military allegiance throughout history shifts when power demonstrates its legitimacy. These soldiers served out of fear and tradition, but now witness a different kind of authority. Elias earned his position through character, rather than inheriting it through conquest. The soldiers recognize authentic power when they see it, the kind that doesn't need threats to command respect. Their kneeling becomes acknowledgement rather than surrender. This moment redefines cosmic power structures visibly and publicly. The soldiers' shift validates the machine's choice for everyone watching across star systems. Their armored knees hitting the stone floor signals that the old order has ended, and a new one begins. This isn't rebellion, it's recognition of a better alternative. The soldiers adapt to reality rather than clinging to fading traditions. What's fascinating is how quickly professional soldiers recognize legitimate authority. These aren't conscripts but elite guards who understand power dynamics. They see Elias not as a victor who crushed their leader, but as someone chosen by systems older than their civilization. Their allegiance shifts to the position rather than the person. They kneel to the new custodian of the valley, not just to Elias himself. The tension resolves through this collective acknowledgement. The soldiers could have fought for fading glory or loyal tradition. Instead, they choose to serve the new paradigm because they recognize its legitimacy. This pragmatic adaptation shows professional soldiers throughout history often serve the state rather than the ruler. They protect the institution beyond temporary leadership. Their kneeling completes the transfer of authority in the most visual way possible. Throughout galactic history, changes in power require public demonstrations to become real. The soldiers provide that demonstration through their unified action. They transform Elias from successful challenger to legitimate ruler through their acceptance. This moment makes the theoretical practical. The soldiers witnessed a human stand against a goddess and win. This experience redefines their understanding of possibility. Their shift in allegiance reflects adjusted cosmic perspectives more than changed loyalties. They're not abandoning principles. They're recognizing that their principles now align with different leadership. This validation matters for the broader galactic community. Other civilizations watching this event will note how the professional military accepted the change. Their kneeling suggests that the transition carries legitimate weight beyond simple conquest. It indicates that the ancient systems supporting the valley have endorsed this new arrangement. The resolution establishes Elias's authority on practical terms. He now commands the soldiers who moments ago sought his elimination. This creates fascinating dynamics for the future governance of the valley. The soldiers must reconcile their centuries of service to the mistress with their new duties to a human commander. Their professionalism suggests they'll adapt to this change effectively. Now humanity faces the consequences of this acknowledged authority. Galactic perception has shifted from seeing humans as curious infants to recognizing them as legitimate cosmic participants. This brings both opportunities and responsibilities that our species must navigate carefully. The soldier's kneeling represents just the beginning of this new chapter. Elias now holds power that previously destroyed civilizations. This isn't victory. It's the beginning of humanity's greatest test. We've evolved from curious explorers to responsible guardians in a single moment. That transition demands more than technological skill. It requires wisdom we're still developing as a species. Power always demands proportional responsibility. Imagine giving nuclear capabilities to a civilization that hasn't mastered basic ethics. The results would be catastrophic. Humanity now faces that exact challenge on cosmic scale. We must balance our innate curiosity with careful stewardship of forces that could reshape star systems. This role tests our collective maturity in ways we've never experienced. Throughout history, human advancement often outpaced our ethical development. We created technologies before understanding their consequences. Now we're being handed power that requires wisdom first, application second. The ancient machine chose us not for what we are, but for what we might become. Custodianship represents the next phase of human evolution. We're moving beyond mere survival or exploration toward active participation in cosmic balance. This means making decisions that affect beings beyond our world and timeframes beyond our lifespans. We must consider consequences across millennia, rather than quarterly reports or election cycles. The responsibility involves ethical use of power that destroyed others. Previous civilizations failed because they valued control over understanding, domination over collaboration. They saw the valley's power as a weapon rather than a tool for growth. Humanity must avoid repeating that fatal error by focusing on preservation rather than exploitation. Our approach must differ fundamentally from the Mistress's isolationist protection. She hoarded knowledge out of fear, creating barriers instead of bridges. True custodianship requires sharing understanding while preventing misuse. It's about creating systems that allow responsible access rather than absolute restriction. This transformation affects how we view ourselves as a species. We're no longer the young newcomers knocking on cosmic doors. We're now stewards of knowledge that predates our civilization. That shift in identity requires rethinking everything from education systems to governance models. We must prepare future generations for responsibilities we're just beginning to understand. The resolution brings both opportunity and danger. Humanity gains access to unimaginable knowledge and capabilities, but we also inherit the consequences of previous failures. The valley isn't just a resource, it's a warning about what happens when power outstrips wisdom. We must learn those lessons without experiencing the disasters that taught them. This custodianship extends beyond the valley itself. Our actions now set precedents for how emerging species interact with established cosmic systems. We're creating the template for how knowledge transfers between civilizations at different development stages. That template could encourage growth or reinforce the kind of restrictive control we just overcame. Humanity's success depends on integrating diverse perspectives. No single culture or nation can manage this responsibility alone. We need global cooperation that respects different approaches while maintaining unified ethical standards. This might be the challenge that finally pushes us toward true planetary collaboration. The transition from seekers to guardians marks our species' coming of age. We're being trusted with the keys to cosmic knowledge because we demonstrated character over capability. Now we must prove that trust was justified through careful, considered stewardship that benefits more than just humanity. What lessons can we learn from the empires that fell before us? Their ruins hold warnings about pride, isolation, and the dangers of power without purpose. Studying their failures might be more valuable than accessing their technology. Understanding why they collapsed could prevent us from following their path. Consider holding power that has destroyed civilizations that stood for millennia. This isn't about strength or technology. It's about spiritual capacity to handle responsibility without corruption. Elias now possesses capabilities that could reshape star systems, but their ethical use demands constant moral vigilance. The ancient fire tests his soul continuously, ensuring power serves growth rather than control. Previous empires failed because they developed technology faster than wisdom. They treated cosmic power as a tool for domination rather than stewardship. Their ruins stand as warnings about what happens when capability outpaces character. The fire represents both incredible opportunity and immense responsibility, the chance to advance knowledge while avoiding past mistakes. Wielding this force requires alignment between action and ethics. Every decision carries consequences across centuries and star systems. The power responds to intent rather than command, flowing toward needs rather than whims. This means Elias must maintain clarity of purpose amidst incredible temptation. The fire judges his soul's compatibility with its purpose continuously. The resolution involves accepting that true power serves life rather than replaces it. Elias must balance human curiosity with cosmic responsibility, innovation with preservation, ambition with humility. This isn't a one-time test but an ongoing relationship with forces that have clear expectations. The fire destroyed previous civilizations because they lacked this balance. Philosophical traditions across cultures explore this relationship between power and ethics. Great responsibility requires great character, because power amplifies both virtues and flaws. The ancient machine selected Elias not for his strength but for his demonstrated resistance to corruption. His defiance showed he values principles over convenience. This power tests the wielder's character through continuous feedback. The living flames respond to thoughts and intentions, not just actions. They create a symbiotic relationship where ethical alignment determines functional capacity. Misuse doesn't just cause external damage, it diminishes the wielder's access to the power itself. The responsibilities involve learning from others' failures without repeating them. Elias must study why previous civilizations fell while developing better approaches. This requires understanding that technological advancement alone cannot guarantee survival. Spiritual maturity, the ability to wield power wisely, determines long-term success. The transition from seeker to guardian demands internal evolution. Elias must integrate human values with cosmic perspectives, balancing terrestrial concerns with interstellar responsibilities. His personal growth mirrors humanity's collective maturation as we move from exploring the universe to participating in its maintenance. This weight cannot be carried through physical strength alone. The fire demands moral courage that transcends biological limitations. It tests whether a being can handle power that could easily corrupt or destroy. Elias's human resilience, forged through our species' difficult history, becomes his greatest asset in this ongoing test. The ancient fire represents opportunity tempered by consequence. It offers incredible capabilities but imposes strict ethical requirements. Previous civilizations accessed the technology but failed the character assessment. Their ruins stand as permanent reminders that power without wisdom leads inevitably to collapse. Now Elias must prove humanity can break this cycle. His personal journey becomes a test case for our entire species' readiness to handle cosmic responsibilities. The fire's continuous assessment ensures that any deviation from ethical stewardship will have immediate consequences. This creates a system where power remains aligned with its proper purpose. His success depends on maintaining the values that earned him this role: curiosity tempered by respect, innovation guided by ethics, and power exercised with humility. The living flames will ensure he never forgets that true strength lies in character rather than capability. News travels through cosmic networks faster than light, carrying the story of a human who challenged eternal authority and won. This isn't just gossip about some far-off event. It's a fundamental shift in how civilizations perceive our species. The legend spreads through data streams and neural networks, reaching beings who never considered humanity worth noticing. What they hear makes them reconsider everything they thought they knew about us. Societies across the galaxy process this information differently. Some see hope in Elias's victory, proof that established powers can be challenged constructively. Others view it with concern, worrying about unpredictable newcomers disrupting careful balances. The story forces every civilization to update their assessment of human capabilities. We're no longer the curious infants of the galaxy. We're becoming active participants in cosmic affairs. The narrative carries specific details that shape perceptions. The ancient machine's declaration that the realm belongs not to fear but to defiance becomes a rallying cry for those seeking change. Elias's refusal to surrender despite overwhelming odds demonstrates a resilience that many find inspiring. His transformation from intruder to custodian shows that cosmic systems value character over strength or technology. This legend challenges prejudices that have existed for millennia. Many civilizations viewed humans as primitive, emotional, and limited by our short lifespans. Now they must account for our adaptability, courage, and ability to handle responsibilities beyond our technological level. The story proves that worth isn't measured in years lived, but in how those years are used. The spread of this narrative creates both opportunities and challenges for humanity. Some species might seek alliances, impressed by our demonstrated capabilities. Others might see us as threats to be contained or tested. Every civilization will reassess their diplomatic and trade relationships with Earth based on this new understanding of human potential. Resolution comes through the story's enduring power. Elias's name becomes burned into its heart forever in the valley, but also in galactic consciousness. His legend represents humanity's collective entry into cosmic maturity. The narrative doesn't just describe one human's achievement, it symbolizes what our entire species might become when faced with great challenges. This shift in perception affects practical matters across star systems. Trade agreements might be renegotiated, military assessments updated, cultural exchanges reconsidered. Humanity moves from being seen as an emerging curiosity to a legitimate cosmic player. This brings new responsibilities alongside new opportunities. The story's core message, That humans may bleed, humans may break, but they never surrender, resonates across evolutionary divides. Many civilizations recognize the value of perseverance against overwhelming odds. This shared understanding creates common ground where previously only differences were seen. Elias's legend becomes educational material across galaxies. Young beings learn about the human who earned cosmic power through character, rather than conquest. The story teaches values that transcend species boundaries: courage, integrity, and responsible use of power. It becomes part of the shared cultural heritage of multiple civilizations. This widespread recognition signals the beginning of a new galactic order where humanity has earned its place through demonstration rather than demand. Our species now faces the challenge of living up to this new reputation while navigating complex interstellar relationships. The legend sets expectations that we must now meet through continued growth and responsible action. What does this shifted perception mean for practical human-alien relations? Will other civilizations approach us as partners or threats? How will we handle being seen as equals by beings who previously considered us inferior? These questions define humanity's next chapter in the cosmic community. Across the galaxy, established powers receive the data stream of what happened in the valley. Diplomatic channels light up with analysis and concern. This isn't just news about some distant event. It's a fundamental shift in the galactic balance that every civilization must now account for. Humanity's sudden elevation from curious newcomers to cosmic players creates both opportunity and danger that requires careful navigation. Some species respond by testing our capabilities. They send probes to our borders, challenge our ships in neutral space, and analyze our technology with renewed interest. These tests range from subtle scientific observation to outright military provocation. Their goal isn't necessarily conflict, it's assessment. They want to understand whether humanity's new status reflects genuine capability or temporary luck. Other civilizations extend alliance offers with complex conditions. They see potential in partnering with a species that earned cosmic recognition through character rather than conquest. But these offers often come with expectations about sharing technology, supporting existing conflicts, or limiting human expansion. Navigating these proposals requires discerning which partnerships bring mutual benefit versus those that seek to control our development. Establish powers that benefited from the previous galactic order view humanity with particular suspicion. They see our rise as threatening structures that served their interest for millennia. Some may actively work to undermine our legitimacy through propaganda, economic pressure, or proxy conflicts. They'll challenge our right to cosmic stewardship using every tool available. Humanity now faces the complex reality of interstellar politics. We must develop diplomatic strategies that protect our interest while building constructive relationships. This requires understanding alien perspectives without compromising human values. Our approach must balance openness with caution, recognizing that not all species share our concept of ethical engagement. The resolution demands preparation for conflicts over legitimacy. Some civilizations will inevitably contest our right to cosmic authority. They'll question whether a young species can handle responsibilities that destroyed older civilizations. Humanity must demonstrate through actions that we deserve the trust placed in us by the ancient machine. This moment requires evolving our interstellar institutions. We need representation that understands both human interests and galactic dynamics. Our diplomatic corps must learn to operate in environments where a misstep could have consequences across star systems. We're playing a game where the rules were written long before we joined the table. Trust becomes our most valuable and scarce resource. Every interaction with other civilizations either builds confidence in humanity's maturity or reinforces doubts about our readiness. Our consistency in handling power responsibly will determine whether we're seen as reliable partners or dangerous upstarts. The galactic reconsideration forces humanity to define our cosmic identity clearly. Are we protectors of knowledge? Champions of progress? Defenders of autonomy? Our actions in these early days will establish patterns that could last for millennia. We must choose values that serve long-term stability rather than short-term advantage. This complex web of relationships and challenges represents humanity's next great test. We've proven our individual character through Elias's journey. Now we must demonstrate collective wisdom as a species navigating galactic politics. How we handle this transition will determine whether we become respected cosmic citizens or just Another failed civilization in the valley's memory. What fundamental truth does this galactic reaction reveal about power and perception? The varied responses show that cosmic society operates on principles we're only beginning to understand. Our sudden elevation forces every civilization to reconsider not just humanity's place, but the very nature of legitimacy in the universe. So what fundamental human quality actually triumphs over eternal power? The answer isn't strength or technology. It's our refusal to surrender even when facing impossible odds. Elias stands broken and bleeding before cosmic authority yet continues to fight. This demonstrates that humanity's greatest asset isn't our physical capabilities, but our psychological resilience. This isn't about superiority over other species. It's about complementary strengths that serve cosmic evolution. The Mistress represents stability and control developed over millennia. Humanity brings adaptability and fresh perspective. Together they could create something stronger than either approach alone. The ancient machine recognizes this potential when it chooses Elias. Our species' perseverance proves valuable precisely because cosmic systems need both continuity and change. Eternal beings maintain stability but risk stagnation. Humans constantly seek improvement but lack long-term perspective. The combination allows for progress without chaos. Elias's journey shows how defiance can serve evolution rather than destruction. Psychological research helps explain this resilience. Humans maintain purpose and hope under extreme adversity. We fight for those who cannot fight and look to the stars with determination. This isn't blind optimism, but practical resilience built through overcoming countless challenges throughout our history. That hard-won toughness serves us well in cosmic contexts. Our adaptability becomes particularly valuable to the galactic community. While older civilizations specialize in specific approaches, humans constantly experiment with new solutions. We're not afraid to question established rules or explore forbidden territories. This flexibility helps systems evolve when they become too rigid or outdated. The story validates human curiosity and courage as essential cosmic qualities. Elias's desire to seek truth drives his entire journey. His refusal to bow to authority demonstrates moral courage that transcends physical strength. These traits aren't just useful for survival, they're necessary for cosmic advancement against stagnation. This represents a maturation point for human civilization. We're evolving from curious children to responsible participants in galactic affairs. The transition requires balancing our natural curiosity with newfound responsibilities. We must learn from species that failed this balance while maintaining our essential character. The resolution shows that humanity's hope and resistance cannot be erased by fear or pretension. The Mistress represents control through intimidation and tradition. Elias demonstrates that genuine power comes from character and principle. His victory proves that established authority must sometimes yield to better ideas. Humanity's spirit, characterized by hope and defiance, becomes an enduring force that shapes cosmic development. We don't win through destruction, but through demonstrating better ways to handle power. Our willingness to question and adapt makes us valuable partners in maintaining cosmic balance. This story reinforces that true strength lies in moral courage rather than physical force. Elias earns cosmic power through his character, not through conquest or technology. The ancient machine chooses him because he represents qualities that previous civilizations lacked when they failed. So what can we learn from Elias's journey about humanity's place in the cosmos? That our greatest contributions may come from stubborn hope and ethical courage, rather than technological marvels. That sometimes refusing to accept limitations serves everyone's interests. That maturity means wielding power responsibly while maintaining the curiosity that earned it. Elias's victory isn't the end of the struggle. It's where the real work begins. His defiance opened the door, but now humanity must build what comes next. This moment represents not a conclusion but a commencement, the start of something far more complex than a single act of rebellion. The hardest challenges lie ahead in creating systems that honor both our values and our responsibilities. Revolutions throughout history begin with symbolic acts that change perceptions. A person refusing to move on a bus, a wall coming down, a flag planted on forbidden ground. These moments capture imagination but represent only the first step. The true test comes in the days and years that follow, when ideals must become institutions and courage must transform into consistent governance. Humanity now faces that exact transition on cosmic scale. We've proven our right to participate in galactic affairs through one person's bravery. Now we must demonstrate our ability to contribute meaningfully through collective wisdom. This requires developing frameworks for cooperation that respect both human diversity and interstellar complexities. The tension shifts from winning acceptance to maintaining legitimacy. Initial victories often create expectations that are difficult to sustain. Other civilizations will watch closely to see if humanity's actions match Elias's promises. Every decision we make now carries weight beyond our solar system, influencing how species across the galaxy perceive our readiness for cosmic responsibility. Building new systems demands different skills than challenging old ones. Defiance requires courage and principle. Construction requires patience, compromise, and practical vision. We must balance our natural curiosity with careful stewardship, our innovative spirit with respect for established cosmic knowledge. This balancing act will define humanity's next chapter. The resolution recognizes that true courage means continuously questioning systems rather than blindly following them. Elias didn't just break one rule, he challenged the concept that rules cannot be examined and improved. This mindset must now guide humanity's approach to cosmic stewardship. We should honor tradition where it serves progress and challenge it where it hinders growth. This ongoing revolution requires participation beyond governments or space agencies. Artists, philosophers, scientists, and citizens all contribute to defining what kind of cosmic civilization humanity becomes. Our values and choices on Earth will inevitably influence how we handle interstellar responsibilities. The personal becomes planetary, becomes cosmic in this new reality. The work ahead involves practical challenges alongside philosophical ones. We need to develop interstellar law, create ethical frameworks for technology sharing, establish diplomatic protocols with species that have completely different biologies and cultures. These aren't abstract concepts, they're necessary systems for peaceful cosmic coexistence. Humanity must prove worthy of the trust placed in us by demonstrating consistency between our words and actions. The galaxy now knows we can defy authority when necessary. They need to see we can also build authority responsibly when given the opportunity. This means making decisions that consider multiple perspectives and long-term consequences. The beginning of this journey offers incredible potential for positive change. We can create systems that value cooperation over control, sharing over secrecy, growth over stagnation. But realizing that potential requires maintaining the courage that started this revolution, while developing the wisdom to guide its evolution. What does this ongoing transformation mean for us today? Right now, as we watch this story unfold, it suggests that our individual actions matter in shaping humanity's cosmic future. The values we cultivate today might someday influence how our species handles responsibilities we can barely imagine. Every choice contributes to the foundation we're building together. So what does this story about forbidden gates and cosmic defiance say about us right now? These narratives function as mirrors reflecting our deepest aspirations and concerns about humanity's trajectory. Fiction gives us a safe environment to explore possibilities that feel too overwhelming or abstract to consider in daily life. We can test different futures without risking actual consequences, working through complex ideas about ethics, power, and responsibility through characters like Elias. Science fiction has always processed contemporary issues through future lenses. The challenges Elias faces with ancient technology and cosmic responsibility echo our current struggles with artificial intelligence and genetic engineering. His journey asks questions we're already asking. How do we handle powerful technologies responsibly? What ethical frameworks should guide our advancement? Who gets to decide the rules for emerging capabilities? The story reflects our hopes for human evolution, that our curiosity and resilience might someday earn us a place among cosmic civilizations. It validates our desire to reach beyond current limitations while acknowledging the weight that comes with such advancement. Elias's transformation from intruder to custodian represents our ideal progression from reckless explorers to responsible participants in larger systems. But the narrative also delivers crucial warnings about power and responsibility. The Valley's history of fallen civilizations reminds us that technological capability alone cannot guarantee survival. True advancement requires matching our external progress with internal growth. We see this tension playing out already as our technological capabilities increasingly outpace our ethical frameworks and governance systems. We can draw practical lessons for current technological development from this fictional scenario. The story emphasizes that systems need built-in correction mechanisms like the ancient machine to prevent stagnation and ensure continuous ethical alignment. It suggests that true security comes from adaptable resilience rather than rigid control, and that power should serve growth rather than inhibit it. The resolution shows how stories where human spirit reshapes reality can inspire actual innovation. When we see characters like Elias solving problems through creativity and moral courage, it encourages us to approach our challenges with similar mindset. These narratives don't just entertain, they provide mental models for handling complex situations and making difficult decisions under pressure. Fiction helps us develop the imaginative flexibility needed for an unpredictable future. By engaging with scenarios that push beyond current realities, we exercise our capacity to think creatively about solutions. This mental preparation might prove as valuable as technological preparation when facing actual challenges. The story's emphasis on defiance against unjust systems resonates with our growing awareness that existing structures often need reform. Elias's refusal to accept arbitrary limitations mirrors our increasing willingness to question outdated traditions and imagine better alternatives. This narrative reinforces that progress often requires challenging established norms. Ultimately, these stories help us navigate the gap between our current capabilities and our aspirations. They allow us to practice cosmic thinking while grounded on Earth, considering interstellar ethics while dealing with terrestrial problems. This imaginative exercise might be essential preparation for whatever future actually awaits humanity. Now let's consider how all these pieces fit together into a complete picture of what Elias's journey means for understanding human potential. His story isn't just about one person's triumph, it's about what our entire species might achieve when we balance our best qualities with profound responsibility. Elias Kane's story shows that real exploration challenges more than geography. It questions the rules themselves. His defiance reveals humanity's true strength isn't advanced tech or physical power, but unyielding curiosity and moral courage. Even against cosmic authority, he stood firm, proving that spirit can reshape destiny. What quality do you think would most impress ancient powers? Our resilience, creativity, or empathy? Share your thoughts below, and if you enjoyed this journey, subscribe for more stories exploring human potential in the cosmos.